Hello friends, I'd like to introduce you to my 1965 Buick Wildcat. Well, at least the engine of the Wildcat. It is a 401 Nailhead. I had the engine rebuilt in 2006, I think. I want to tell you a story about this engine. In about mid 2004, my best friend, um, had an English school here where I am and was opening up an English school in another city. So he needed a vehicle to use for the business. So he went down to the Ford dealer and bought the new body style 2004 Expedition. So I went down to the dealership with him, and there was a lot of hype about the new Mustang coming out at the time. So I told the sales lady, Sylvia, that if they got a dark red stick shift Mustang in GT, well, that was the 6-cylinder wasn't sold here. It was only a GT. In Mexico, if you ordered an automatic Mustang, you got a leather interior and you got the bright shiny wheels on it. If you ordered a stick shift, you got cloth seats and the 5-spoke wheels. And the 5-spoke wheels looked a lot better than those new style wheels that they came out with. So I told her, just kind of like in passing, that I wanted a dark red stick shift if it ever came in. So I didn't think anything more of it. And comes around April of 2005, I knew my friend had bought his wife a new Escape. So he tells me, let's go down to the dealership, pick up the Escape, which turned out to be a nice little truck. It was a gold color, limited, I think it was, with the color painted bumpers and everything. It didn't have the gray bumpers on it. It was the top of the line truck. So we go down there to the dealership, and sitting next to the Escape is a dark red 2005 Mustang GT stick shift. And we go over there, and the sales lady, Sylvia, hands me the keys and tells me the car's yours. Hands me the paperwork. The car's paid off. The original invoice is in my name. Plates are on the car. The car's ready to go. And I look back at my friend. I said, what? He says, you said you wanted the car. So here's the car. I bought you the car. Great. So we finish up the transaction. We go to our separate houses that night, and then we decide we want to take both the new cars out to dinner. So I drove my Mustang. We go all the way across town. I'm passing in front of the restaurant to turn into the driveway. The car just quits. The whole electrical system, nothing. There was nothing. There was no lights. There was no engine, nothing. The car just quit. So I pulled to the side, and because I am like one of you guys, we don't just call tow trucks. I opened the hood and noticed that the negative battery cable on this brand new car was barely touching the battery post. I'm thinking, how did I even get it started? How did I get all the way across town like this? So I hooked up the battery cable, just snugged it down, started the car back up, and went to dinner. I had that car for a little over a year. I did some racing with it, went to different tracks around Mexico. I got pretty well known for the car because it was the only new Mustang running. And but I had no garage to keep it in. And I was constantly worried about scratches, and the kid that lived next door was always out in front playing football with his friends, and I knew that if he hit my car with the football, I would have to do something serious to him. So I put the car up for sale and sold it with about 7,000 kilometers on it. And some of the money that I used from that sale rebuilt this engine. It cost me about 100,000 pesos to rebuild the engine because every part had to come from the U.S. This is not a Mexican engine. This was never in Mexico, so every part had to be brought in from over there. You're noticing the blue on the engine. I don't know what color the engine is supposed to be. The shop that did the engine painted it this color. I never really paid attention to that. If it was the original color, I didn't make any suggestions on that. But the problem with rebuilding the engine is the car just sits. The car sat. I mean, I bought the car. When did I buy the car? I bought the car in July 10th, 2001. So I've had the car for over 20 years, and the car has mostly just sat. So the last time I tried to start the car, which was, I don't know, about 8 years ago, it sounded like there was no oil pressure in the engine, just the clicking, clattering of the rockers. So I don't know if to get this going again, I'm going to have to prime the engine, prime the oil pump, get the oil going again. I asked Dallas about it on one of Uncle Tony's lives, and you know, he said that might be a way to go. So back to the Mustang. About 4 years ago, I was out at our little track here. We have a little track which is actually a mostly unused airstrip behind a definitely unused hotel. And some kid came up to me. I'm just going to say kid. Maybe he was like 22, 23. And he said, "Didn't you used to have a Mustang?" And I sold the car in 2007. So that was like 13 years later. The guy still remembers. He says, "It was so cool when you beat that truck." And I'm thinking, I just agreed with him. Yeah, that was so cool. I'm still to this day trying to figure out what the hell he was talking about. But, okay. But people remembered that car even more than a decade later. It was very interesting. And I would love to have another one, but for what I sold the car for, people are asking almost the same amount today, all this time later, for the exact same car, and definitely not with 7,000 kilometers. So, haven't been able to put one of those back in, but I would love to have another dark red with the 5-spoke GT. Later on, they did bring out a 6-cylinder Mustang here, and I think now they even sell the EcoBoost 4-cylinder, but I don't know if you can get a stick shift in it. Nobody could ever answer that question for me, because that would be a neat little car. But yeah, this engine was rebuilt, but it's acting like it has no oil pressure, so the car just sits here. This came into Mexico before I bought it as a beigeish two-door fastback, and somebody had the bright idea of making it into an orange convertible. Later on, I'll give you a full tour of the car, but right now, I just wanted to tell you that story about this engine. I will get it back going. I have to look underneath. Since this is not an original convertible, I've been thinking what I can do with it, because there's no originality to go back to. I was thinking maybe hot rod, a little bit lowered, maybe a deep purple paint job on it, putting a tonneau cover over the back seat and making it a 2-seater. And it already has the high horsepower engine. It did have factory air conditioning, which was a good option. Maybe I could get that working again at some point. But you're probably asking why I didn't do a video on this Chevy. Well, I've been trying to get my Plymouth Savoy back running again, and it was giving us problem, where the mechanic was here giving us problems with the spark. So I came over to this car, and I was leaning up against this fender here, leaning over to get the coil off, and I guess my ribs pressed up against the fender, and I don't know what happened. It is still hurting. It's like somebody punched me in the ribs. It's, you know, the thing about getting older is things that did not hurt you earlier in life definitely hurt you now. And this has been a week, almost a week, and it feels like it's getting worse, not better. I haven't been able to exert any effort because this is the kind of muscle area that everything you do is connected to that. You stand up, you reach for something, anything you do. I was going to put the front end back together on this Impala if I could find the parts and start getting the parts that I cleaned back on the car and then get it running, which shouldn't be a problem because it's a 305. Just like Mortsky just said, 305 Chevys just always start and run. So there's something I didn't know was there. I'm going to have to clean all that up. These trees just will not let it go. So if you want to see more of this car, please subscribe. I'm going to be doing more videos on the 81 Impala as soon as I can. Please like, share, subscribe. Actually, subscribe first. I will talk to you later.